So what we're doing right now is we're looking at doing an air vent repair. So a lot of times what happens is these things get kind of dry and corroded over time, and they break. So this little lever will break and these won't move up and down altogether, or they won't go back and forth. And what you have to do is you have to shoot a little bit of silicone in there and lubricate that so it moves back and forth the way it's supposed to. Well, a lot of times what happens is these don't, that doesn't happen, and these break, and then they look goofy, and I'll show you what they look like in my truck. So what I did is I noticed that these are the same size on the driver's side and the driver's bezel as they are in the passenger side. So there's a total of 4 of them, 2 on the passenger side, 2 on the driver's side. These little inserts that go into the air vents, they're all the same size. So these were good ones that were in the driver's bezel that I replaced in the truck. And so what I decided to do is I decided to yank them out before I threw the broken bezel away and try and replace them. Now they're really easy to get out of the bezel when the dash or when the bezel is out of the dash. There's these little tabs right here. They're plastic tabs. You can see they're little plastic tabs right there, and you just push them in and this pops out. While they're in the dash, that's another thing altogether. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and use a trim tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and wedge that inside of the dash. I'm going to push this in, and as I push it in, it should depress these little pins, and it should release that, and then I should be able to pop the whole thing out. So we're going to try that while it's in the dash. So now here you can see what I'm talking about. You can see that on this particular piece, I'm missing the little lever, and so that while this still moves back and forth, that's broken there, and it's not actually connected to anything. It looks kind of jankety because it's all busted up and stupid looking. This one doesn't look as bad. Here, I'll get the air freshener out of there. That one doesn't look as bad, but as you can tell, it is no longer connected. It still slides back and forth. Well, my hand's in the way. It still slides back and forth. If I can do this, you can see it still slides back and forth, but it's not connected to the rest of them anymore. It broke out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these with the ones that I pulled out of the bezel on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trim tool over here, take my trim tool, and I'm going to wedge it in, if I can get it, wedge it in right here. Alright, so now I can feel that it released that little clip and it pops out. So I pull that out and see if I can get the other side as well. There we go. And it'll just pull right on out. Outstanding. So now you can see in there, I don't know if you can see very well, where those clips engage right here and right here. I'll point right here and right here, those little clips. You just see if I can turn the light on so you can see better. There you go. You can see the clips wedge in right there, and same thing on the other side. Engage in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this out, and I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to clean that vent out of there because it's pretty disgusting and gross, because this truck has been up and down a bunch of gravel roads. Get that all cleaned out, and then we'll pop the new vents in. Okay, so I got that cleaned out. Oh, pretty decent. Not the best, but it's you can still see in there, there's still a little bit of dust in there, but it's a lot better than it was. Just kind of go in there with a rag and wipe that out and get that cleaned out of there. And then we take our new vent, our new old vent, and all we do is, you can see that I put it in with that little lever on the bottom, because that's how they came out. And if you look over there on the dash side, you can see that that lever is on the bottom as well. So you have a total of 4 little flaps right here. 4 little flaps, and the lever is on the second from the bottom. So we just put that in place in the little opening and gently push in, and you heard it click in, and it is in there and it is working. And I sprayed it up with some silicone lube spray so that it would move a little bit more freely, because I do not want that thing to bind up and snap off. So I sprayed some silicone lube spray in there, and hopefully that'll stay. So now we'll just do the same thing over here in the other opening. Just slide that in, and boom, we're all set. That took maybe a total of 10 minutes, and it was well worth it. It looks so much better than what I had before. I mean, if you look at that and compare it to that, that's a world of difference. And I didn't even have to take the dash off, and got everything fixed.